Hey there, are you ready to build a fitness business that becomes a true income producing asset? Then I welcome you to the Fitness Business Freedom Show, brought to you by Fitness Revolution. I am your host, Justin Hanover, and we have over 15 years of experience building thriving fitness businesses, and we are committed to sharing our knowledge and expertise with you. You can expect to hear proven business foundations and frameworks, success stories from our coaching partners, and guest experts to give you straight answers for your biggest questions. It doesn't matter if you have an online business, fitness facility, or operate as an independent trainer. You are in the right place to grow your business and create the personal freedom you desire. Welcome to today's episode. I'm your host, Justin Hanover, success coach with Fitness Revolution. Now, before we dive in to today's episode, I want to share who I have joining me and what you can expect to hear. So today I have the pleasure of speaking with Pamela MacElree, and Pamela is the owner and co-founder of Urban Athlete in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Urban Athlete is a staple in its community and has created a community culture that supports both its clients and coaches while also lending as much as they are able with a charitable hand in philanthropy through various activities. Pamela holds an MS in injury prevention and sports medicine from California University of PA, along with a BS in photography and graphic design from Pennsylvania State University. In addition to her role as a business owner, she has been a success coach with Fitness Revolution since 2011. She is a certified business coaching specialist from the Business Training Institute with coaching and business strengths in philanthropy, community involvement with strategic partnerships, time management, meeting facilitation, finances, and issue mining. Pamela is also a proud mom of two adorable and hilarious littles who keep her and her husband on their toes. Their rescue dog tries to mind his own space but is often defeated. Outside of work, you can find Pamela spending time with her family, gardening, exploring flavors in the kitchen, and volunteering her time. Now, obviously, this is another special episode where we're bringing one of our obviously you can hear longtime success coaches on to be able to share some powerful insights. And a unique thing from Pamela is she comes at it from both sides of being a client as well as a coach through Fitness Revolution. So she's able to share some powerful insights in the three major areas of business and marketing, sales, and fulfillment to pull back the curtain and show what's working, what's not working, and how things are going in real time with obviously her own business and the clients that she is serving. So this was a really insightful conversation, and I'm excited to be able to bring other team members on and to highlight how we do things and how we help our clients navigate through different challenges of business. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring Pamela on. Today's episode is brought to you by Fitness Revolution. So you started your fitness business and you've been in the game now for a few years. You might have even seen some good growth over those years, but now you feel stuck. You feel like the momentum you once had just isn't there and you don't know how to get it back. Should you be focusing on your marketing, your sales, or your team? What is the next bottleneck to focus on that will allow you to break the chains holding you back? That is a great question, and one of the biggest skills as an owner is to be able to understand and identify the next biggest issue to keep your business moving. And that is exactly why Fitness Revolution has created our proprietary needs assessment to allow you to quickly see where your business stacks up and receive immediate feedback on what to focus on next. It's a quick 10-question assessment that will be able to provide valuable feedback to get past sticking points and hit your next goal. Whether you are stuck, feeling frustrated with your current progress, or just want to dial in what's working, this assessment is the first step to making that happen. I invite you to head over to the show notes where a direct link to the needs assessment will be so you can easily access it there. Now let's jump into today's show. Pamela, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to hop on here with us and share your amazing insights in helping other gym owners succeed.
Yes, of course. I'm looking forward to it.
So let's start with giving everyone obviously some context to you personally and how, like your 1,000-foot overview of how you became the Pamela that we're speaking to today and our success coach?
So I started as a success coach, we think around 2011 with FR, but it's kind of unique. I actually was the very first coaching client with FR back in 2006. And that's the year that I opened my studio at the time with a business partner in Philadelphia. And so the relationship of coaching and being a coach and participating with FR and meeting a bunch of really awesome other coaching clients and fitness business owners has been a very long journey.
It's definitely ingrained in your life now.
Yes, it would be weird to probably do anything else.
That's not a bad thing because obviously all of us, our listeners, and obviously your coaching clients get the benefit from that.
Perfect.
So obviously, kind of like the point of this episode is we want to be able to have you on here to share some insights from your own business, as well as obviously the coaching clients that you are working with. To shed some light on some different mistakes in different key areas in the businesses that people are making, as well as kind of like what to focus on now and what's working in the moment that people can take and apply into their business today. So with that in mind, the first piece of the puzzle, I would say, is marketing and understanding exactly what that involves and what to avoid when it comes to having effective marketing. So can you shed some light on where you're seeing a lot of gym owners go wrong or struggle in this category?
Yes, and as complicated as marketing feels like it can be, it's not super complicated. Like the tactics might be or the strategies might be, but the concept of consistency is not. So that's where I see people go wrong the most, is just being inconsistent. And a portion of that is just not allowing things to grab enough traction before they decide to change directions. So when, giving something only a couple weeks to see if it works, or trying a new marketing strategy and then it not being successful and just kind of dropping it and not keeping with it, is probably one of the more like knee-jerk issues that I'm seeing most people kind of falter in their marketing plan.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Because I would say and something that obviously we teach very heavily is to make decisions from your numbers and your metrics and tracking things. Unfortunately, obviously, I would say a lot of people out there probably don't track things, so it's all based off of emotion. And if you maybe just lost a client that day and then you're looking at your marketing, you might think like, well, this sucks and like I need to change something.
Yeah, and you said, what you said is exactly correct, right? Like it's hard not to be emotionally attached to things that happen in your business because it's your business.
Yeah.
But when we let emotion drive too many of our decisions, we end up in a place kind of like what you just said. Like we can't do that. It has to be what the numbers say. And to your point, if we're not tracking the numbers, it's too hard to make the decision. I mean, this analogy has been used a million times, I'm sure, but it's like getting in the car to go on a very specific road trip, but like not having the directions or not having the map. You'll get somewhere.
Yeah, where we don't know.
I don't know if you're going to get exactly where you know you want to be.
Yeah, no, that is a good point. So when it comes to consistency, what are you usually coaching your clients on when it comes to that, of like how long to stick to something or when to make any type of change to what they're doing?
So I always hate starting off with "it depends," as most of us do. But to some extent, it really does depend on what the strategy is. But I think if we peel it back to just being very basic, it's more about let's find a consistency, a frequency of consistency that you can do certain things for X period of time. And that X period of time usually is dependent upon the person and their business and like where they are within their business, because as you know, everybody that we've different stages of fitness business ownership.
Mm.
And so it depends on their capacity and what they're able to commit to without overcommitting. So the next kind of step with consistency for me that I talk to my coaching clients about is not going all in and like take social media, for example. I'm going to post 7 days a week. I'm going to post twice a day. And then in 2.5 weeks, you don't post again until next month.
Yeah.
Like picking something that's reasonable
Yeah.
with the consistency. Blog posts are the same thing. Like, let's not commit to doing one a week until you can do one a month. And I think because with that kind of approach, something done well is better than nothing done at all. And if we can just get into that process, once we've hit a month or maybe 6 to 8 weeks of being consistent with a smaller number of marketing strategy to-dos, then we can increase it. From there, we should see that there's improvement in lead generation and getting prospects in. But that's what we're looking for, right? We want to make sure that it's consistent enough so that when we track it, we know if we're getting those leads because we've done X, Y, and Z consistently versus I don't have any idea where they came from and I don't remember what I did in the last 3 weeks because it wasn't part of a written out plan.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And hearing you, like you say that, like, it sits here, it makes me think of exactly, obviously, like the gym owners and the clients that they're serving. They would be telling them the same thing when it comes to getting their health goals. Obviously, you're not going to go crazy and do 2 workouts a day every day, and think that that's sustainable, and that you're actually going to get where you want to go. So it's the same thing with it's like the gym owner needs to build, I would say, a confidence in themselves first, of saying, like, believing that what they say they're going to do it, and then we can go from there,
Yes.
and build on it from there. So I think that's definitely a solid point. Now, when it comes to maybe like different marketing tactics, now, like is there anything you could shed light on like what you're seeing in like any trends of like what's working, or possibly maybe if there isn't anything specific, of like maybe shed some light on like how somebody can go about choosing an appropriate marketing strategy for their business?
One thing I've seen that's working much more than, say, a lot of other things is referral marketing, both from clients and businesses, fellow business owners, and just having that established relationship. I mean, most of us have established relationships with our clients, so asking for referrals is a little bit easier than asking or setting up a plan for referrals with other businesses. The thing, though, that I feel like is different now, and that I've been encouraging and guiding some people to do, is to just really be extremely more open and honest with clients when it comes to asking for referrals. So rather than it just being like, I checked the box, I asked client Sue if she knew anybody who'd be interested in training with me. It's explaining to, particularly, I don't want to like circle this around the pandemic, but coming out of COVID, right? But talk to your clients, open and honest. I am looking to regrow. Like, this is my vision for the next year. I need your help. Do you have a friend, or do you know a friend who would want to train with you at the gym? So like just making it more about a story and a scenario, so that it's not just like, hey, do you know anybody? There's just more there. It's more attached, right?
Yeah.
Our clients don't want to see us close our doors. They don't want to see us not be able to offer our service to them anymore, especially the ones that have been with us for a really, really long time. So by telling them that story, I think it gives them a little bit more ownership to, I'm going to actively go try to find somebody to bring them in so that like we can keep doing this, because what we're doing is really awesome.
Yeah.
And then my second point with the business referrals, I personally feel like if the relationship is there, strategic partnerships and business referrals can elevate both the businesses, very, very much. The hiccup is just picking a random business out of thin air that you don't have a relationship with and trying to set up a plan. So my suggestion there is to just always start with the circle of businesses where you either know the business owner or you frequent that business already as a customer pretty regularly, so that your face, even if they don't know that you own a business, your face at least they have seen within their business. Those are the best ways to start, and they don't even have to be like complementary really to fitness businesses. Those are the best way to start business referral relationships, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I love that because it definitely it's because like you said, like people like to feel like they're a part of something. So bringing your clients into like just giving them a little glimpse of like, hey, this is what's going on, and this is why I'm talking about this now. It makes it more real for them than like you said, like, hey, like, do you know anybody? Because I think when you put somebody on the spot like that, most people would be like, nah, I don't really know. Like they're saying, like chances are, like when they have that type of insight and context, like they can go and find somebody. Because I mean, I'd be very surprised, obviously, like you said, if there isn't somebody that they can that they interact with in some part of their day that wouldn't possibly be a good referral. And then when they're armed with more understanding as to why they're even presenting it to this person, it brings more ownership to them. So I feel like they're definitely more on board with it, and they actually become more authentic salespeople for you, basically, or ambassadors, if you will, to your program.
Yeah.
And then with the,
You know, like a day or I don't know, sometime this week I was talking to somebody, and like it's more like it makes it more top of mind, because if you're just like randomly asking, hey, do you know anybody, the exact phrase that this person said to me was, people have their own shit. Right? Like they're forgetting,
yeah,
right? Like even though they love the feel and they love the response from being in the gym and in your program, when they leave, and we struggle with this with their nutrition and exercise consistency as a person, but they're not leaving thinking like, who can I go talk to bring in here with me? Like
no,
they're thinking about, I have to get to the grocery store, or I have to get to work, I have to pick up my kids. Like there's just so much other stuff happening in everybody's life that like, without, like you said, without the context, it's just not as driving for them.
And then I think like what you're like presenting there too is that it's like just becomes a part of your culture and how you operate. And I was actually just talking to one of our coaching clients this past week, Jonathan Price, and like we were going over this exact topic of how like he's just ingrained this into his culture, and it's just something that his people do, and it's not like he has to be transactional with it. It'd be like, oh, if you do this, I'll give you this. It's just they are a part of helping the business grow.
Right. And where you don't want to just be only a referral based business, if the majority of your leads come from referrals, we all know that the conversions on those leads are way higher than any other lead source.
Definitely. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely a much warmer lead coming in the door than the person that you just started chatting up on Facebook.
I will say, and I mean, I don't think this is an issue or a concern with any of our coaching clients. The caveat, though, to referrals is you better not mess it up.
Yeah.
Right?
No, definitely.
Like
there is more pressure.
this isn't a Facebook lead or just like a website opt-in. This is like a valued client has said, hey, I think my friend so and so would be a great fit, and then you get introduced. Like you cannot not deliver on a referral.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. There definitely is a little bit more involved, and it's not just about you. It's also, I mean, that other person's reputation and name is involved in this too.
Yes.
So that definitely is something you have to consider. So that's a good point for highlighting that. So now moving into the next piece of the puzzle, like the sales aspects of things. again, same thing. Like, let's start with first, like, kind of where are you seeing a lot of people go off or are causing more pain in this particular part of their business than they need?
Probably the biggest thing, and it's not with everybody, but at least in the beginning, when you start trying to sell your service and like you're newer at business, but even I've seen it in like some stage 3 and stage 4, is just like fear of asking.
Mm.
So it's like that belief system of, do I want to ask this person, or like how do I ask this person? So somewhere along the lines, like not rehearsing scenarios and like how you would respond to them, but also like when someone comes in for a success session or their trial, whatever it is that you're offering, like the expectation is, what's the next step? So don't let them leave. Once someone is inside the business, don't let them leave without the next step kind of already being established, whether that's getting them signed up for an FEO, getting them to be a full-time CEO straight out of the gate. Never like, I'll send you the agreement or I'll follow up with you on email. They are right there. Like, take advantage of the fact that like you could touch them and sign on the line for them, right? Like,
Yeah.
don't let them leave without a next step or some sort of commitment.
Okay. So, and what about the people that I say like that? I don't know, like you said, like they have this fear of like, I think in their mind, like they may look at it as like, conflict or confrontation. So what if they are experiencing pushback, or it's not going as smoothly as they would like to get that person to take the next step? What would be like kind of like your recommendation to handle a situation like that?
Really, I mentioned it a little bit briefly, but imagine, and this isn't when you're in front of the person, but just imagine these scenarios. So like, keep track of them somewhere, catalog them, even if it's in a Google Doc or in a notebook. It'll eventually become a great training guide or training resource for when people have staff underneath of them. But practice all of the objections or all of the scenarios that you've encountered throughout any sales situation that you've been in, and practice the response. Or what are the cues that you're seeing when it doesn't feel like it's going well, or it's not the direction that you imagine that it's going in, and how do you get it? How do you shift it back? How do you get the boat back on its course, so that it does go, or has at least a better chance of going in the direction of some sort of sale at the end of the conversation?
Yeah, no, that I think that's I think a good thing to highlight there is that typically there's going to be signs well before you actually make an ask if this person's like vibing with what you're saying,
Yep.
a type of thing. So I think that's a really good point to point out, is that like you should already, and I think it's probably safe to say, like, if you're not feeling like you're on the same page, you probably shouldn't even go to the ask yet. Like, you should keep circling back to like, where are we not connecting?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, there's also a component, Justin, I think, where, you know, particularly if we're desperate for a sale, like we're like, I have to sell, I have to sell, I have to sell, I have to sell, and that's what we're thinking about. But then that's coming across like that, in your energy and your vibes and whatever. But if you truly are just working on like rapport building and how your service is going to help this person, and all the things that they've told you that they either can't do or want to be able to do or have had problems with in the past, like, relate that to how you can help them. And it's more about having, for me anyway, a really genuine conversation in that success session, so that it ends up in a place where they want to buy something from us at the end.
Yeah, it's obviously all about that authentic connection. Because I mean, it's a lot easier for us to buy from somebody that we know, like, and trust, or feel like they're our friend, versus somebody just trying to sell me something,
Yes.
a type of thing. I think that definitely makes a lot of sense. Now, are there any particular ways that you can, like, maybe share quickly on, like, some of your clients that are executing really well in the sales area of maybe like one or two tips or something like that, like of things that they're doing that you feel obviously would benefit our audience?
Yes. So one of them is definitely that rapport process, like building rapport within the session. But before that, it's consistency again. That
It's
word.
funny how it
It's
keeps
gonna
coming back
It's
up.
gonna. Yep. It's gonna follow us forever. So being consistent in all of the follow-up steps, from like when someone's a lead, when someone's a prospect, when someone's an FEO, like the people who are selling well, or whose revenue is up, their total COs are up, like they have a very consistent, almost completely 100% accurate, not missing any steps, follow-up system. And then they're also like, they know, it's not that they have a script in the sales process, but they know the items more or less that they're kind of making sure that they address within that success session, or whatever the assessment trial is. And like when they know they hit those, they have a greater probability of closing a sale, and the conversion from that lead to FEO or lead to CO going up.
Yeah, no, I like like you said, the consistency throughout the entire interaction, not necessarily just that particular moment is important. Because I mean, obviously you don't want that person stepping into the room with you and feeling like, what the heck is going on here? This isn't anything that like we've been like talking about in our emails back and forth up until this point. And like that definitely throws people off. So yeah, I definitely agree with having the consistency throughout the entire process, not just focusing on the actual conversation.
Right. And you also, like, you bring up a good point with that, consistency, but it's with the communication. So, in a business where one person is doing the follow-up and the sales and training, a solopreneur, like, what has been said. But if we're in a business where someone else is doing the sales and an admin is doing some follow-up, there's got to be some internal communication where they can check to see what has been said, or they just, like, there's an understanding that before you go into a success session, you review what the notes from the admin or from whomever's talked to this person. And then if there's some follow-up that needs to happen after the success session, if the person who delivered it is not the person who's doing the follow-up, there needs to be some communication exchange there as well. So just like what you said, like, everything is consistent and cohesive to the prospect.
Makes complete sense. Yeah. So now step into our third category here, which is now after the sales process, and focusing on fulfillment, and I would also include retention into this. Again, I kind of like, where are you seeing people go off? Like, where are the common areas that you have to correct and help in the businesses that you've been coaching with when it comes to setting up their actual service, like how they're fulfilling their service in a way that's obviously allowing the business to grow and allowing them to keep people?
So the thing that I see most frequently happening is business owners will have either something all the way to elaborate, but from the lead follow-up perspective, there's these touch points. And then in the FEO, there's these touch points. Then someone becomes a CO and there aren't any more touch points.
Yeah.
So it's like, I worked really hard to get you here, and now that you're here, I'm going to move to the next person. So the place that I feel like is lacking for, not, I don't want to say everybody or the majority, but when we're having a retention issue that isn't based directly on like the service deliverable itself, I believe that it's often because there's no like long-term CO follow-up in place. And then the people that have less of a retention issue have that in place for them.
Yeah. So there's more thought to the client journey with them of like
Mm-hmm.
what's actually happening. And like, I think a lot of people will say like, oh, well, yeah, I want someone to stay with me for a year or whatever, but then there's no actual process of like what's happening. What are you doing to make sure that person stays with you for a year, not just focusing on thinking that your amazing workouts are going to be the thing to only keep somebody there without having any, like you said, touch points with them or communication with them. Because I think
Right.
obviously people are irrational, and they deal with different things throughout the day. And like, I'm sure we've all experienced it with a client has an off day or bad day. They come in and one little thing, I mean, maybe someone didn't say hi to them correctly or in the right way, and now they think that this isn't right for them. And it's like it's being able to have those touch points and those relationships with people allow you to pick up on those things and obviously address issues like that. Now, when it comes to do you ever find that the way that it's like some of the clients that you're working with, like the actual way that they're fulfilling their service affects their business in a sense? Like, do they feel like do people ever pick the wrong way of how to fulfill their service or fulfill their business and fulfill their clients' needs in a way that maybe isn't allowing them to effectively grow? Like if it like locks them into the current status that they're at, or again, maybe isn't maybe fully meeting the needs of the business or needs of the client.
Do you mean like the needs of the client?
Yes.
Um, well, maybe I feel fortunate in that most of the people that I work with are delivering their service pretty well. Where I see some issues arise, though, is as business owners bring on coaching staff. So it's not so much about the client, but it is about what the service that the client receives. So they try to rush the onboarding process. And if this isn't the direction that you were trying to get into, just stop me. Especially like if we think about it, especially as someone who's worked in their business, I don't know, so say 4 or 5 years, and they've not really had a coach underneath of them. The clients are used to you doing something a certain way.
Yeah.
And they expect, like you said, when they come in the door, that a series of events are going to happen that lead up to the workout, from something as small as, like you said, just saying hello.
Yeah.
And say, hey, Sally. So I think that an area that we could all improve on is that in the onboarding process for any staff member, but particularly for coaches, is that sessions are delivered the same, right? The coach is expected to show up at this time, prep X, Y, and Z, make sure A, B, and C are done, look at these 1 through 10 steps, deliver the service. And then when the service is over, like, we're checking in with clients, talking to them again, following another, like, we want to make sure these 1, 2, 3 things are done. We want to even say goodbye to people or congratulate them on doing a great job. And then, that when they're in the session, that new coach or even a longtime coach that has worked for you, maybe they've gotten in a rut, is just interacting and continuing to build the rapport that your clients are expecting to receive from your community that they get from you.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfect. I mean, I think that makes complete sense in terms of I think it brings us back to the whole consistency thing. Obviously, that seems to be a common theme, obviously, throughout every part of the business. But it's so true. I mean, it's very simple in terms of things, nothing elaborate or flashy. It definitely is being consistent because people like to know what to expect. I think when you take that and make it uncertain for them, then people start getting kind of squirrely and like, I don't know what's going on here, type of thing. And so. Say if someone's like looking to start dialing this in, like where would you suggest someone make or focus on when it comes to establishing maybe like more of like their first operation system of like how to actually make sure things are happening consistently?
So I think the very first spot is to like document what is happening or what is supposed to happen. So this is the one obstacle, or one of the bigger obstacles, I should say, that I always get a little pushback on, because it will make your next time that you do said action, it will take it longer for you to complete, for sure. But the next time that you go in and open up the gym for your first session, like write it all down or document it. Maybe to speed up the process, like you can video it on your phone or dictate it so that you can go back and type it up later. But I like to tell my clients or coaching clients that when they're trying to create a system for someone else to follow, that they should just document it the next time they go through it.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to sit down here at the computer right now and, okay, so I unlock the door, I turn on the lights. What do I do next? Like, if you have everything detailed out like that for every step, that means that I could say, hey, Justin, I need you to fly to Philly. Can you run my session for me?
Yeah.
I could hand you our book and you could do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think that's because that's ultimately what our goal is at the end of the day, is to kind of be able to replicate ourselves. And what better way to do that than to actually share and walk through somebody exactly what it is that you do. So I think that's definitely a very helpful insight as people start navigating when it comes to actually creating systems around their operations, which obviously ultimately affects your fulfillment and your retention. So I think that's definitely been a great insight. It's not necessarily, I would say, like the fun part of business to talk about, but it certainly is the necessary part, and it's the part that allows you to build a successful business. Because I mean, you can have the best marketing tactics and sales, but if you can't fulfill and keep people, then you're always going to stay in that hamster wheel.
Right. And another thing that, most of us know too, is it's easier and it costs less money to retain a client than it does to get new ones.
Absolutely. That is a very solid point for remember. And you guys listening, maybe you should write that down and kind of like put that somewhere where you're going to see it every day in your office, and remind yourself how important it is to make sure that you keep as many people as you possibly can that you have coming through the door, and do everything that you possibly can to make sure that losing people is not the issue of your business. But I think that's a good segue into starting to wrap up the conversation. And we appreciate you, Pamela, for being able to share your insights with obviously the coaching clients that you've been working with, and what you've been seeing, and what's been working, and where the frustrations have been. But as we work towards wrapping up, obviously, I mean, this is what you do, so this is not necessarily a hypothetical question to you, but say like you get another gym owner off the streets coming to you, looking for some type of mentorship, obviously based on everything that you've gone through and how you serve people now. What do you think is the first most important thing for that person to hear?
That everybody needs a coach.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's true.
I mean, we started the conversation out that way. I have had a business coach. It so happens to be FR since 2006. So that is a very long time.
Yes.
But I've never not had business coaching. And I can't imagine through all the phases of my business ownership, and then all of the coaching clients that I've had the fortune of working with over the last 10 plus years, like how you could navigate some of the things without having that support behind you. Someone who's always looking out for you, and then encouraging you and pushing you, also questioning you, and making sure that you're staying on track towards the end goal, towards the long-term vision. um, yeah, it's your accountability, because when you're self-employed, um, you can only answer to yourself unless you have someone else to call you on your nonsense if need be.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, like at the end of the day, obviously, we're not going to get where we want to go just by having cheerleaders around us. We need people that are going to be real with us, and like you said, like we're all creatures of habit. So I mean, we can get stuck into habits that aren't necessarily productive. So having that person that's not emotionally attached to the business or what's going on to be able to call you out on that is tremendously helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a great way to wrap up the conversation, to be able to point that out. And if you're someone that has been listening and thinking about any type of coaching or external support, or maybe you've had some type of support in the past and it wasn't necessarily exactly what you needed, then I definitely encourage you to reach out to us, because I mean, we do things a little bit differently in the fact that, I mean, we are no fluff, and we really focus on foundations that are proven, and we coach you in a way that not only obviously like Pamela said, like lifts you up, but we be real in making sure that we're always guiding you in the best way. We become a partner with you, basically. So I encourage you to check us out if that is something that is on your mind and you've been kind of dabbling with the idea of getting extra support. But Pamela, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to hop on here with us and share some insights. And we really appreciate, obviously, everything that you've been doing in the fitness industry for your own clients, and then for other fitness business owners, and how it's been having a positive impact in a whole.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I was happy to be here. It's always fun to talk about what we do.
Absolutely. And last thing, I just wanted to thank you, the listener, because obviously without you, we wouldn't have a show. So we are happy that you are looking for ways and resources to improve your business. And that's something that we can never stop doing on this journey, because that's what leads to growth, obviously, in us personally and business-wise. Now, as I always say, the next thing is to take notes if you need to, create an action step list of what you're going to do. Even if it's one thing from this conversation that piqued your interest or made you think differently, what are you going to do now to actually apply it? That's where the true value comes into place. Not just listening, it's applying and taking action. And with that being said, I look forward to having you join us on the next episode of the Fitness Business Freedom Show. Thank you so much, and take care. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode on the Fitness Business Freedom Show. On behalf of Fitness Revolution and myself, we are thrilled you are looking for ways and resources to move your business forward, and we are honored to be that source for you. If you would like to receive more business building support from us, be sure to head over to the show notes and join our subscriber list and stay on top of all the industry insights that matter most to you. Now, before I close out today's show, if you found this episode beneficial in any way, I just ask you to leave us a simple review to help other gym owners find us and discover this show. Thank you so much, and I will see you on the next episode of the Fitness Business Freedom Show.